everyone. My name is Dan Hines, National President of the UPMA. Thank you for getting on this evening. As you know, as you may or may not know, we started doing these sessions last month. We had Form 150 training last month. This month we're doing SWC training. These sessions are being co-hosted by FedPoint. They are the group that oversees the long-term care, federal long-term care program. Lisa Roussel is on this evening. You want to say hello, Lisa?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us, having myself and Dan and all of us today. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And this evening, we have Mary Beth Kirkland, who is Postmaster in Ohio and also is a certified trainer for the Postal Service. She does a lot of Postmaster Essentials training and also new supervisor training. And she is going to walk you through the SWC program this evening and give you some tips on how to ensure that you are getting credit for everything that you should be getting credit for and what you should do in order to make sure that if you qualify for a supervisor, you are indeed given that supervisor. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Mary Beth.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very, very much for joining us tonight. As Dan said, Mary Beth Kirkland. I am the Postmaster in Middlefield, Ohio. I do a lot of facilitating for the Postal Service. I train Postmaster Essentials, I train FSP, the USC Supervisor program, and that's really how I became familiar with the SWC program and the 150. So tonight, I thank you very much for this opportunity, Dan. I'm very honored to demonstrate some information about the Supervisor Workload Credit program. You know, all of us need to know whether we earn a supervisor or not, and if we do, how many do we earn? So hopefully tonight will help you to understand the program a little bit better. We're going to cover quite a bit of information. But let's start out first of all by going over some information that we absolutely need to know. What is SWC? As I mentioned, the SWC stands for Supervisor Workload Credit System. It is used to determine how many supervisors, how many customer service EAS are authorized in post offices and carrier stations. Always remember this.
Mary Beth.
Yes.
We cannot see your screen.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Mary Beth, all you have to do is share your screen. So you're going to want to share your screen, and we're not seeing your video either. So you'd want to start your video and you would want to share your screen.
Okay. Start my video.
So we can see that lovely face.
Okay. All right. I have it started. Oh.
Are you seeing the console where you can share your screen, where you can share?
It's not, it's grayed out.
Okay. Sounds like you're not, I don't know if your connectivity there, because your video is not working either. So I don't know what your bandwidth is for your internet. Let's see. You have the ball to present, so if you're not able to share your screen, that's going to be an issue. You could try getting out, Mary Beth, and coming back in, because it could be an issue. So if folks just want to sit tight, Dan, why don't we have it turn it over to you? And Mary Beth, why don't you come out and just totally close down. You don't have to close down your whole computer, but leave the meeting and then come back in fresh. And that will probably be it. And I would also turn off anything else that you have that could be using bandwidth, even if you have a cell phone that's using Wi-Fi, or, you know, just, you know, kind of make sure that everything else is closed down too. And Dan, why don't you maybe provide some updates, or if you want me to go through my slides while Mary Beth does that, what would you prefer?
Why don't you go through your slides while we're waiting for her to
Okay.
get up, back on?
Okay. So let me pull back the presentation so that I can pull it back over, and I'll be the presenter. Okay. All right, Mary Beth is going to be coming back in. Everyone should be able to see these slides. And I just want to thank you. My name is Lisa Roussel, and it's a pleasure to work with the U.S. Postal Service and obviously UPMA. We've been working with the U.S. Postal Service and UPMA for a number of years. We've gone back to, I think, 2007 that we started going to all of the conventions, and we spoke with Dan and the executive board about this partnership. You know, we wanted to become a sponsor and work with UPMA, so it's really a pleasure to be here. And what I want to do is just make sure that those of you who are on this training tonight, that you have an understanding about the federal long-term care insurance program. This is a voluntary benefit that anyone can apply for as long as you are a federal employer, a postal employee, or military, and you can apply in retirement as well. So my job is just to provide education and awareness. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not paid any commission. My job is to work with all federal employees. We have a contract with OPM, and the federal long-term care insurance program was actually, the Security Act was passed back in 2000, and in 2002 we were awarded the contract. Not only are we the administrators of the federal long-term care insurance program, but also benefits, so the federal and dental vision program. So my goal for just these few slides is to, one, tell you about the program so you have an understanding about what long-term care is, where can you get some resources, and certainly apply if you're interested. So what is long-term care? Just really, when you think about long-term care is personal care, or it's related to illnesses like chronic illness, an injury, a disability, or the aging process. This is something that is not skilled medical care. We're talking about custodial informal care when we talk about long-term care. And it really follows the activities of daily living. So if you can't perform bathing or dressing or eating or transferring, getting in and out of a bed, continence or toileting for 90 days or more, or if you suffered from a major cognitive impairment like Alzheimer's, that would constitute a long-term care event. You have to remember that it doesn't matter why you need assistance with these activities of daily living. The need for long-term care can arise for any age. It could be a chronic illness, a disease, an injury, or, like I said, simply the aging process. Remember too that when we talk about long-term care, most people don't go in and out of long-term care, and long-term care is certainly not meant to cure us. So that's something that you want to know. Why plan for long-term care? And this is important because I know all of you have worked hard. You're working for the Postal Service. You have your retirement, you have your estate plan, your financial plan. So one of the questions that we always ask is, what is your long-term care plan? I'm a certified long-term care consultant. This should really be a part of your discussion with your financial planner, and it's really suitability. Everyone has to really think about, is this suitable for them in terms of, do you have the salary to support the premium payments? There's a misconception that people think long-term care is expensive. It can be expensive if you get into the program later, so we encourage people to apply when they're younger and in good health. But basically, 70%, the point that I like to make here is that today's reality is that people are living longer. The longer we live, the higher probability that we're going to need some care at some point in our lives. And according to Health and Human Services, 70% of people turning age 65 can expect to use some form of long-term care at some point in their lives. Some people may never use it. But what is important is you have the FEHBP. We know about Medicare when you become Medicare eligible. Neither one of those programs, nor Medicaid or the VA, do they cover custodial informal care that's associated with long-term care. The FEHBP, as you know, you're eligible. I'm married to a federal employee, so I actually have one of the federal plans. It covers acute diagnosable conditions that you're either expected to recover from or stabilize from. In no way does the FEHBP, none of the plans, not just Blue Cross, none of the plans cover custodial informal care. So Medicare, it is worth noting, they have a skilled short-term medical benefit. In other words, if you're in a hospital, you have to have a minimum of 3-night stay. And then you go into a skilled nursing facility, and that's generally 100 days. Medicare pays the first 20 days, and at day 21, you pay a copayment. And that could be about $13,000 total, because from day 21 to day 100, it's about $170 per day. And then at day 100, you're on your own. So my mom actually went to a skilled short-term facility, and it has to be a Medicare-approved facility. You just want to make sure that when you go to the hospital, if you know someone who's Medicare eligible, certainly that they spent the night in the hospital. They had to be admitted, not just in an observation status. In terms of Medicaid and VA, I want to thank any of you who are on this call today. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. If you've served before, thank you for your sacrifice and your service. Please go to va.gov. I am not the expert on VA benefits, but you may have an aid in attendance benefit or service-connected disability. So you really want to look into that. And in terms of Medicaid, most postal employees, most federal employees are not going to be eligible for Medicaid. You have to essentially become indigent. You have to spend down your assets to $2,000 or less to even qualify. And Medicaid varies from every state. So it's a state federal program, so it varies from every state. So you do want to check with your state to find out what covers Medicaid, what Medicaid covers, because you may have a loved one who is eligible for Medicaid. And generally, Medicaid only covers the one place where most people don't want to go is a nursing home. Nowadays, most people want to age in place. But like in New Hampshire, there is a Choice for Independence program where they actually cover assisted living facilities. They cover at-home care. So, it varies, but most often it's usually, like I said, at a nursing home. Long-term care is expensive. The bottom line is it's something that you want to think about, because these are costs, and these are average costs for home care, assisted living, and a semi-private room. And you can see that those costs, not only in today's dollars, but they're only going to increase as you get older and you think about using long-term care, hopefully not till down the road. This slide, I just want to cover eligibility. So federal and postal employees and annuitants. So you can apply even if you left the Postal Service. Before you leave, you apply. And if you get into the program, it is a medically underwritten product, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But you're eligible to apply, and it's at any time. It's not just during open season. But the beauty with this program, and I want all of you to remember this, if there's one takeaway tonight, it's remember that qualified relatives can apply even if you don't apply. So if you have a child, a child age 18 or over, so your current spouse, your domestic partner, and your adult children, also your parents-in-law, and step-parents can apply. And even if you don't apply, they can apply. So, and you don't have to be in the program for them to apply. So surviving spouses receiving a survivor annuity or a basic employee death benefit, they can also apply for this coverage as well. In terms of coverage details, premiums are based at your age at the time of your application. And so that's why we tell people it behooves you to apply for this coverage when you're younger, because as we get older, we tend to come down with medical conditions that might prevent us or pre-exclude us from getting into the program. Most people come into this program, the federal program, at about age 52, 53. We see people coming in even in their 60s. So if you're on this call tonight, don't think you missed the boat. Many people will research long-term care. I've looked at it and I haven't applied yet. I'm in my 50s and I keep telling my husband we need to think about this. We have other priorities right now with college, but as I get older, even though I run and I take pretty good care of myself, I'm concerned that I might come down with a condition, or my husband, that would prevent us from getting in. So it is something to think about, and you want to think about it sooner than later and start to plan for that. Each person must apply individually, so it's not like the FEHBP where you apply self and family. You each would apply on your own medical records. So we will ask to see your medical records. Anybody that gets into this program, we will ask for your permission to receive the medical records from your physician, and we will notify you. Coverage is fully portable, so this coverage will go with you. So if you left the Postal Service, as long as you continue to pay your premiums, it's guaranteed renewable. So this coverage will go with you. And qualified relatives can apply even if you don't apply. That's an important point. Lastly, the last two slides here is I just want to talk about the strengths of the program. When you're considering long-term care, there's long-term care on the private side. There's different carriers. Many of them are not taking new enrollees, because when long-term care started probably in the 80s, they didn't do a lot of well, it was kind of guessing, if you will. It was kind of, you know, trying to estimate what kind of costs we're going to have in claims. And so it was very kind of difficult to predict. Nowadays, when you're looking at getting into a program, it is pretty strict to get in. So the medical underwriting. And so what happened on the private side is a lot of these insurers had to stop accepting new enrollees. People had multiple rate increases, and then they had to maybe reduce their coverage. But this is the only group long-term care insurance program for the federal family. And like I said, this was a Securities Act was passed back in 2000 and 2002. We were awarded the contract. Long-term care partners, FedPoint is our official name, but Long-Term Care Partners is the administrator of this program, and eventually it will be FedPoint. We just came out with a new name. It better identifies who we are, because we're not just Long-Term Care Partners. We also work with Benefits, the federal and dental and vision program that we administer. So it's supported by the strength and stability of John Hancock Life and Health Insurance. And so they've been in business for over 150 years. It's regulated with OPM. We have a contract with OPM. Everything we do is through OPM, and premiums are held in an experience fund separate from John Hancock's other assets. So know that we're in the business of paying claims. We just paid over $1 billion in claims, and those funds, it's there to pay administrative costs and to pay your claims. And we have high performance metrics to meet. So lastly, I just want to remind you that go to ltcfeds.com. If you have any questions about long-term care, you can speak with a consultant. They're fabulous. We have certified long-term care consultants. There's tools, planning tools, premium rates. You can calculate what your rates would be. You can request a rate quote. You can actually apply online. You can download the application. You can save it, or a consultant can assist you. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention, and I want to turn this back over to Mary Beth. So thank you for listening to me, and hopefully she's back and she's joined us. Mary Beth, have you joined us?
I have joined you, yes. I'm just hoping that the video works here.
Okay, Mary Beth, I'm going to pass you the ball. So I'm going to make
Okay.
Mary Beth the presenter, and I'm going to give you privileges.
And I still don't have share capability.
Huh. Well, Dan, do you have share capability to do what Mary Beth, and she could talk you through that or not? I don't know if you can get into that program.
I'm in the program, but I don't have share capability either.
Okay.
Let me try dragging the ball from Mary Beth to see if I can get it.
Yeah, because you're a panelist.
Or do you have to drag the ball to me, Lisa?
I just dragged it to you, and I made you presenter. You know what happened is maybe because you guys, I think what's happened is you came in as attendees, and oh, you can do it. Perfect. All right, Dan, you're on.
Dan is
All right.
there. Okay. Okay. Very good. I can walk you through it, Dan.
Right.
Alrighty.
So do you want me to
so
get out of all of this right now, Mary Beth?
I'm sorry?
You want me to get out of this so that we can take them into it?
Yes, please.
All right, so we'll go back to the blue
I
page.
folks, for the technical difficulties. I was able to get through this last week. Yeah, we're going to start with the blue page, Dan. That'll be great. So let me just cover a couple of things. As I mentioned, you know, things that we need to know about SWC. So again, SWC determines what your supervisor complement will be. It is based on the type of employees that you have. So each individual employee earns a different credit in the SWC program, and we will walk you through those as we go into this. The calculation of the employees in SWC includes only those employees that are on the roll at the post office, okay? SWC calculations include CCAs, PFCs, mail handlers, and casuals, assuming that a temporary employee is occupying a position that's authorized to be filled. So vacant positions that are authorized to be filled should also be included in the SWC calculation if they're not covered by a CCA, PFC, or a casual. So in order to earn your first supervisor, you have to have 18.50 workload credits. After you earn that first supervisor at 18.5, each additional supervisor is going to require 35 more workload credits. So So we will, when we go into the instructions, you'll see the information on that and how many authorized supervisors you will earn with each workload credit. One thing I want to mention before we get going here, and hopefully everybody has capability to write down a couple of things. When you need assistance in the SWC program, do not call the help desk. They don't support the SWC auto worksheet at all that we're going to be looking at. I do have a couple of emails for you, and actually we have tested them this week. We had a gentleman that worked on the SWC and the 150 for a number of years, and he unfortunately passed away in December of 2020. So the new contact that we have is Jenny, and it's JENNI .L.Wiggins, WIGGINS @USPS.gov, or you can go to the Workforce Planning Insights and Analytics, and that's at workforce.UPS.gov. So those are the contacts that you'll need to, if you have any questions on SWC. So basically what I would like to do now is I want to take you into the program, and Dan, if you can go to the blue page, and folks, if you by chance are in front of a postal computer, I would invite you to go in and look at your own office data. If you don't have access to a postal computer right now, just please document the past and take notes, and you'll be able to go in and look. But I'm going to have you follow, us through on this. So you start out on the blue page, and you're going to go to the home page, of course. Go to HR Home. Dan is showing that, Human Resources. Okay, do the drop down, and then select Complement Management. And this takes a little while to open up to the workforce page that I'm sure you're all familiar with. This has a lot of data in it in regards to staffing, hiring, and a lot of other information. But what we're interested in looking at tonight, folks, is staffing pool. There'll be a blue bar on the top of the workforce page, and you'll click on staffing tools, and it'll give you a drop down. Here you can find, of course, the 150 and the SWC. The SWC is the Supervisor Workload Credit, the second to last on the bottom. So if you can click on that, please. Thank you, Dan. And again, it takes a few minutes to open up. Well, that was quick. Very good. Okay, maybe because a lot of people aren't on the internet, right, at this time of night. Okay, so what I like to take you to first, folks, is let's scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page, and you will see a blue link that says SWC All March 2021. Next to that, it will tell you when it was updated in March. It is updated monthly. So Dan, if you can go ahead and open up that, please. And once you click on the link, you're going to select Open. And then it takes a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds here to open up to that page. While we're waiting for it to open up, I'm going to share with you one of the reasons why I like this report in particular is because it opens up the entire country. You can look, at any office throughout the country, throughout your district, throughout your PUM group, whatever it is, if you're interested in their supervisor information. Perhaps you're thinking about making a move, applying for an office. You're able to go in here and see what their supervisor work service credits are. Okay? So, let's see here, Dan. Can you click on that? Okay, that looks good. Okay, so we'll wait till we get this opened up. Is it opening now, Dan?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I'm closing what I had open. I just don't need that to be a problem for you.
All right.
Okay. All right. So the easiest way to prompt this, folks, is over on the left-hand side, you see underneath the box there, the PFC name, the performance cluster name. I like to click the arrow to the right of that and select a district. And I'm going to speak to one that I'm familiar with, but I would like you folks to look at yours if you can. You can see that Dan took the select all button off, and he's going to go down and click select Northern Ohio for me. Okay, and then just hit OK, and that will prompt your district. That will list then all the offices that are in your district. So the only other thing that you have to do is you have to go over to the finance number or SIN name. You see the offices listed alphabetically, and click on that, and again, take off the select all. And Dan, I'm going to have you go down to Wadsworth, Ohio, if you would, please. This is one that we just worked on. Wadsworth, there you go. Thank you. That will open up all of the data, folks, for that particular office or your particular office, okay? So let me walk you through what each one of these columns are, and we'll talk about the work service credits for each one of those columns, okay? So the very first column is the OI, and basically that's telling you the amount of supervisors that they actually earn. Column I, if you can follow me, it says city carriers for the APO and RMPO. That should be a total of all of the city carriers that you have on the roll. So that's going to be your regular carriers and your CCAs. Each one of those carriers earns 1.4 credits in the SWC program, okay? Rural carriers. Rural carriers is going to include any PTF and any rural carriers in your APOs, in the APO and the RMPO. Now, the RCA credit is built into the regular rural carrier. They get 1.25 credits. The 0.25 is for the RCA that is assigned to the route. So you can see here, this particular office has 13 rural carriers. If you have a VOMA or a vehicle operation maintenance assistant employee in your office, you would have credit in column K. This particular office does not. And the credit for that is 1 point. Then we get into the window clerks, and the window clerks get a little bit complicated, okay? So column, the window clerks, titled window clerks, okay? You would want only the clerks that are actually titled window, your SSAs, okay? This particular office has 7, and they get 1.1 1/3 credit for each window clerk. There are 18 different titles, job titles for clerks, okay? So that's you know, quite a bit. Then going over to column N, this is basically if you have clerks that are in another finance number, okay? And then I'm going to switch over to column P. If this office in particular had an RMPO, they would get credit there for the clerk. Column Q is for custodial, and this is, folks, this is for a full-time custodian, a craft employee. Okay. Then we have maintenance. Okay. And maintenance is basically if you have a maintenance person in your office, you're going to get 1 credit for maintenance. This particular office does not. And then we're going to go over to admin. If this office had a lead sales service associate, they would get credit in column F. And then we have non-employee credits with our HCR routes or CDS routes, whatever you folks call them. We have found issues with the HCR routes being inaccurate. So if you do have HCR drivers, they are contracted employees. They are not postal employees, but they do run rural routes. And their credits are based on how many boxes they have on their particular route that they're assigned to. So if they have 100 to 299, they get a third credit. If they have 300 to 399, they get 2/3 credits. And if they have 400 or more, they get 1 credit. But this particular office, again, does not have any contract or doesn't have any HCR routes. This office does have a contract station, so they have credit for that, and that builds time as well. Okay, so looking at the column Y, total estimated SWC, they have 49.2 based on their employee complement. They earn 1 supervisor, and you can see that in column AA. In column AC, you can see that this particular office has 2 supervisors on the roll. Okay, they have received letters. Well, I should say the junior supervisor, as of the beginning of this week, received a letter to relocate to another office because they have fallen below the 2 supervisor level. But you can see how close they are in column AD, points needed for the next supervisor. They only need 1.3 to earn that second supervisor. So what we had to do with this particular office is we had to go through and verify every single employee in the office based on the WebCoins information. We only found 1 rural route that was not included in the rural craft, but it still didn't build it up enough for them to get that additional supervisor. Okay. So then going on over, Dan, if you can scroll over to the end, we'll show you basically the zone of tolerance. Okay. If an office falls in the zone of tolerance for a 12-month period, if they fall below, okay, then again, what's going to happen is they will access the supervisor. If it goes up, you know, basically the 12-month period applies to the lower side of the SWC. It doesn't change any increases in staffing if that happens. So if this particular office would get more CTA credit and they would then earn 2 supervisors, that would be an automatic. They would automatically get that second supervisor position added in. Okay. So, see, what else did I want to show you here? Dan, if you can scroll back over, please. Make sure I didn't miss anything. There is instructions, and we're going to look at those in the program to follow each and every one of these columns, and it explains a little bit more in depth. We'll look at that in just a minute. One thing I wanted to point out to everybody is on the left-hand side here, you see the box in column A through column G. That is updated information. Any changes, anything like that is listed in that information box. Okay. And then, Dan, if you could do one other thing for me, on the bottom, there is a tab that says Note. That is your Note tab. This is very important to understand. Okay. This is the, it explains each column, the job description, okay, all the way through, you know, each and every job that we have in the SWC program. And it actually tells you, you know, if you have any concerns or issues, you know, who you would go to. You know, some of this is populated through AMS, of course, WebCoins. Here's all of your occupational codes on the Note tab as well. These are for your 18 occupational codes for your clerk. Okay, those are all the different codes that we have available to us. Okay. So that basically is the all-in-one, which is my favorite report, because again, like I said, you can look at any office you want to look at throughout the country. So it's an easy report. It's easy to drill to. Okay. So then, Dan, if we can possibly go back to see here. Let's go back to the workload credit worksheet, which is up top. You can see the Swiss Auto worksheet, March 2021, and let's talk about that a little bit. Now, there's two ways. You have to click on that link, and you're going to click open, and it will prompt open the Swiss worksheet. There's two different ways that you can get the information into this sheet. You can actually extract it through WebCoins, or you can go ahead and put all your complements listed in here to determine how much switch you earn. If you're looking to get a supervisor, if you do qualify for a supervisor, you need to get with your district. They will advise you what you need to do. As far as, they may want so many months of a workload credit worksheet, but just follow what your district tells you to do. So Dan, if you can click on the tab that is the Swift worksheet, highlighted in that beautiful aqua color. And this will open up, and we'll kind of walk through this a little bit. So, of course, folks, you're going to select the post office or station, and then, of course, put in all of the office data information. But what I want you to pay attention to here this evening is the sections 1 and 2, which is our employee credits and our non-employee credits. So let's start first of all, and we're gonna pretend to build one, okay? So the very first one under delivery is your city carrier. So let's say that this particular level 20 office has 3 city carriers. Okay, so Dan can plug in the number 3 there, and you can see that it builds 4.20 in the Swiss program. Okay, and this office has 6 rural carriers. Okay. So that's going to equate to 7.50, because remember that was 1.25. And then we're going to, this doesn't have a BOMA, okay? Let's go down to the window clerk. They actually have 3 titled window clerks. Okay. And they also have a window clerk in an RMPO that doesn't have a supervisor in it. So you're going to add 1 window clerk there. Thank you. All right, we have 1 distribution clerk in this office. Okay. And no mail handlers, of course. Okay. Now, this office does not have a custodian. They have a contract cleaner. So we're going to leave the custodian 0, because again, remember that that is an employee, that's an actual postal employee, a career employee. Okay. This office has 1 HCR route, all right, with 300 to 399 deliveries. So that's going to factor in 2/3 of the credit. Okay, yeah, right there. Thanks, Jen. Okay. Now, this office has a contract custodian. They're not a postal employee, so we're going to put in 1 contract custodian. All right. So what we've built here so far, folks, you can see that the total SWIFT is 19.03. And remember that we said that 1850 earns 1 supervisor. So right above that, you can see the number of supervisors based on the SWIFT range. And that's listed right there. So all you have to do is look at what your total SWIFT is, compare it to the number of supervisors to see what you earn. And this particular office does earn 1 supervisor. Dan, if you can scroll back up just a little bit. RMTO information, folks, is factored into the green portion of this. So if you have an RMTO, then you're going to have, as I showed you earlier in that column K where we put that clerk in, you'll build that information into those green shaded areas. Okay, you'll enter the finance unit names and their numbers. Okay. And again, all of these instructions, folks, are on the SWC homepage, and we're going to go back in now and look at that. If you would, Dan, we'll go back to the homepage, and yep, you have it there.
You want the worksheet instructions, right, Mary Beth?
Worksheet instructions, please, yeah. There's 3 links here, folks. Okay, the reason why I want to show this to you is because I want you to, you know, if we can kind of scroll down through it, it has all of craft employees' descriptions, what their credits are, you know, through the whole thing. It has your range and your SWC points that you actually earn. It has all of the instructions also on how to pull the data out of WebPoint. There's a lot of good reference information on the back page. So it's just a great reference point for you to go to try to understand the SWC program a little bit better. I refer to this very frequently when questions come to me. I will actually go in here and look up the information. As I mentioned, this Jenny that we have, Jenny Wiggins now, I have been able to work with her a little bit this week, and there's another gentleman at the workforce, the analytics, who's been very, very helpful as well. So that's basically what I have. Dan, I believe we're referring any questions that we might have this evening to you, and you'll get them to me?
That is correct. So if anybody has any questions, you can email them to me at dhines, HEINS, @unitedpma.org. I'll get them to Mary Beth and we'll get the answer back to you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I hope this was helpful. I'm always available if anybody wants to reach out to me. Again, Middlefield, Ohio. I'm Mary with an I, kind of weird. In the email, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.